So welcome everyone. If you're just hopping on, you'll see the props that we need for today listed in the chat. You'll need some wall space as well as a chair, a blanket, and a block if you have one. I'm Cantor Lizzie Shammash and I'm coming to you from Philadelphia. It's great as always to be with you. Just a few announcements today. So we're live on YouTube now and we exist on YouTube. It's very exciting. So you can go to YouTube later in the week, check out the yoga again if you want to practice it again. Check out all our other offerings, Talmud Torah on Tuesdays, the daily sit, of course, every day from 12:30 to 1. Please subscribe to the IJS channel. It helps us out. Like the videos, share them widely. It's good stuff. I want to remind you that we have a wonderful upcoming offering, Rabbi Nancy Flam in conversation with Dr. Michael Fishbane, Wednesday, May 12th at 8 p.m. Please check that out. And of course, our podcast, which comes out every Monday and Friday, Open Your Heart. You can find that on the IJS website as well as wherever you receive your podcasts. And I'm particularly excited to say that today's drop is my episode that I recorded with Rabbi Jonathan Slater. I feel really good about it and happy to share it. So please take a listen today or this week, share it widely. We'd all be so grateful. So please come to a seated position. That could be in your chair or on the floor. I want to give you a couple options for this. You might take cross-legged. Either shin can be in front. There we go, that's better. Perhaps sitting up on a little bit of cushioning if you like, and folding forward, placing your head on the block, or placing your head on the chair. I don't know that you can see that very well. Let me show you sideways. That would be an option. This might not feel very good if your hips and your knees are tight. And I offer a few other options which are also terrific. We're aiming to get into the hips, the buttocks, the back, the low back. Just start to open it with a slow stretch. So you might just come to your chair and lean forward. Forearms on the thighs. That's an option. If you want a little more out of it for your hips, you can take your hands forward to the floor or even hang down. Hold opposite forearms and hang a little bit. So see what works for you. As always, my words are simply suggestions, and you are the true guide, the true wisdom for your own practice. So however you're finding yourself, folding forward, with the inhale, feel how you might lengthen the spine. How breathing into it organically begins to lengthen and open the intervertebral discs. Finding a sense of rest within this forward extension. Surrendering the weight of the head, the efforts of the brow, and by that I mean thinking, doing. Begin to let them drop away with each exhale. Smooth out the breath like you would smooth out the edges of your bed as you take your hand over the blankets when you make it in the morning. Smooth out any bumps, any creases. by smoothly allowing inhale to move to exhale. Exhale to roll back into inhale. And if you're sitting with legs crossed, come up for a moment. Just change the cross of the shin so that the other shin is in front. And come forward once again. So really asking right away from the beginning of our practice today to surrender the thoughts, surrender over to the breath moving us from inside, and a kavanah, an intention to invite some stillness. And as you're ready, slowly release. And come up to seated with a tall spine. So we're in the 5th week of the Omer, the first day of the 5th week. And the 5th week is Hod. Specifically this day, Chesed Shebahod, finding some compassion, some kindness, love within Hod. Hod is defined as splendor, as presence, surrender, humility, acceptance or yielding. Also, Hod is seen as gratitude from Hodaya, right? We can always say, thank you, just a little bit more, finding that sense of gratitude. So we're going to come into our next pose and I'll talk a little more, but we'll put us there first. We're going to come to take our legs up the wall. So the way you do that is to come sideways at the wall, hip against the wall. You can come from either side and then roll over onto your back and take the legs up the wall. If your hamstrings are very open and loose, then you can take your sitting bones, you can take your buttocks right to the wall. If your hamstrings are pretty tight, you're going to want to scooch back, have a little bit of an angle, and you can even keep a micro bend in the knees here. You might want a little bit of cushioning. Take the blanket perhaps under your head, under the back of your skull. And the hands can settle anywhere you like, to the sides, or resting on the low abdomen, or even extending above you. That's a little more dynamic. So just settling in with the legs up the wall. You can leave the eyes open or closed as feels more safe, more comfortable for you. And beginning to let the spine just drop, particularly with the exhale. Feel the bones supported by the floor, supported by the earth. Once again, feeling inhale and exhale. And see if you can make your exhales a little bit longer than your inhales. So that, for instance, if you're inhaling through the nose to a count of 4, you'll exhale through the nose to a count of 6. You can be scientific about it like that, or you can just feel into elongating the exhale a little bit. The exhale is where we find our sense of Hod. So if you recall, we're in the second triad now. Last week we looked at Netzach, striving, effort, endurance, eternity, vision. And Netzach is the Sphira of Moses. Hod is the antithesis of Netzach. It holds the tension of the opposite. Hod is the Sphira of Moses' brother Aaron. So we have the visionary and the priest. Both very, very important, this balance. I'd like to read to you a little bit from Art Green's book, Ehyeh, about Netzach and Hod. Netzach seeks to remake the world, to render everything perfect. Hod is the admission that we cannot do it all, the acknowledgement that we have to accept ourselves as we are and be grateful for life as it has been given to us. Netzach strives for transformation. It is the impatient force within us that believes we can accomplish anything. Hod is the other side of wisdom, the self that bows before the mystery of what is as it is, the self who submits to reality and rejoices in doing so. The Moses within us stares down Pharaoh, the embodiment of evil and oppression. In the struggle for victory and transformation, however, we lose some of our patience. Here we need the wisdom of Aaron the priest, bowing deeply before the altar. He knows how to accept reality as it is. Devotion, gratitude, acceptance. These are the virtues of our inner high priest. Devotion, gratitude, acceptance. So today in our practice, we explore letting be. We explore our own non-doing ability to be present with ourselves. We explore non-effort, yielding, just being thankful for this body, however we show up, however it shows up for us, and this practice we're so fortunate to have. So now we're going to take the knees and bend them slightly, keeping the soles of the feet on the wall, and bending the knees into a wide squat. And if you need to move away from the wall or move closer to the wall at any time, just monitor that for yourself. You can do that. And as always, if there's something that we're doing that you don't like, feel free to come out of it. Feel free to do something else. Feel free to stay longer if it's delicious for you and you're enjoying. So if you're in the squat, you might take one moment to spread the toes wide. Feel the surface area of the soles of the feet onto the wall. And for a moment, engage the navel towards the spine. Press the feet into the wall as though you could push the wall away. Just feel the engagement of the groins, the pelvic floor, the low back, and then release it. Completely let go. Let those thigh bones drop down towards the torso, towards the outer edges of the rib cage, towards the armpits. And continue with this intention to elongate the exhale. If you notice that the mind is still moving quickly, is racing from thought to thought or planning or to-do list, or a judgment about this moment, this pose. That's okay. Just let it be. You don't have to engage with it or try to make the thinking stop. Simply turn the attention back to your breath, your presence. Now crawl those feet back up the wall a little bit. Bring them to parallel, toes facing up the wall, feet on the wall. The knees are bent. We're going to come into a little bridge vinyasa, little bridge flow. Now, if you have osteoporosis or osteopenia, skip this one. Skip this one. It might be a little much on the vertebrae. You could just take the legs back up the wall. If you're here with the knees bent, as you inhale, we're going to press the feet into the wall and begin to curl the tailbone up, lift the tailbone, and vertebra by vertebra, as you press the feet into the wall, start to come up. Make a small hammock with the low back. You don't have to come up very far. And then on the exhale, we're going to drop down vertebra by vertebra, back down, like laying down a string of pearls. Starting to feel this opening through the mid-back, the low back. So as you inhale, press into the feet, curl the tailbone up, and start to lift up. You can pause there and stay there a while if you like, or you can begin to come right down on the exhale. So in continuous slow movement, inhaling, pressing into the feet, starting to curl up. You might come up, each one a little higher than the last. You can come all the way up to the tops of the shoulders if you like, or you can just keep it really low and come just to the base of the rib cage or middle rib cage. And on the exhales, dropping down vertebra by vertebra. Pause anywhere you like. If there's a particular spot that feels really good and you want to stay there and just breathe into some tightness, do that. If it feels better to keep in a constant slow motion, and go with that. Massaging the lower back. Massaging the paraspinal muscles, the erectors. Pay close attention to how the breathing works best for you. You might need to adapt it from my instruction. Maybe you like going the other way, for instance, exhaling on the way up and inhaling on the way down. See what feels most organic. There's really a band right at the back of the lower ribs that tends to get very tight, and that is where the diaphragm attaches. So it's really essential to free up our breathing to gain some freedom there, and this is very helpful in that regard. So if your mid-back feels particularly tight, and that's a new sensation, know that you're not alone. It's really common to many of us. And then as you're ready, maybe one more repetition. And then coming back down to the floor. And pause here and extend the legs back up the wall. Notice what you feel. Stillness can be very dynamic. There can be a lot going on, even within stillness, pulsating, vibrating. What are you aware of in this moment? Now we'll bend the right knee and cross it over the left leg, taking the ankle just above the knee. That's below in this upside down case, but above the knee on the lower thigh. And flex through that right foot. And you might stay right here, or you might begin to bend through the left knee, placing the sole of the foot on the floor and walking that left foot down the wall. And again, you might need to reorganize where your torso is in relation to the wall. You might want to move closer in or further away. So we often do this number 4 stretch in class, but this nice addition of the standing foot, the left foot on the wall, gives us the resistance. So otherwise, you can just let go. The presence of the left foot at the wall really has it. And you might take the right hand to just above the right knee and press the right thigh away from you. Notice how that feels in the right hip. So find your edge here. Find the place where you feel sensation. It's a tolerable sensation. It's not too much sensation. You can stay here for a few moments. You can breathe into it. You never want to take this to a place of pain or strain. If you feel any burning, you want to back right off of that. Soften the jaw. Soften behind the eyes. Soften the tongue and the throat. Hodaya. What are you grateful for? Perhaps just the simplicity of this breath that miraculously flows in and flows out and then comes back again. And the miracle of this day, this community, this being in a body. And as you're ready, starting to walk that left foot up the wall and slowly release that right leg. You can bring it against the wall, shake it in and out a little bit. And we'll switch sides. And bending through the left knee, crossing it over Placing the ankle directly above the right knee on the lower thigh. Seeing how it's different on this side perhaps. Then bending through the right knee if you like, starting to walk that foot down the wall. Notice it might be quite different from one side to the other. Might have to make adjustments. How can you adjust to those nuances from one side to the other? Do you need to move a little closer, a little further from the wall? And keeping a light flex on that left foot, that helps protect the ankle and knee joints. Then you might take the left hand to the thigh just above the left knee and press the thigh away from you. So the combination of the resistance provided by the right foot pressing into the wall and the left hand pressing away gives you a nice stability within your edge. Just accepting your left hip as it is, as you are in this moment. That's Hod. With a generous teaspoon of chesed, of compassion for that hip, love for that left hip. How's your breath? Coming back to the breath. Long, slow, smooth. A little longer on the exhale. And then as you're ready, releasing the right foot up the wall, taking the left leg off, coming back to both legs up the wall. Next, we're going to come into a twist. So taking the feet together, bending the knees, drawing the knees in towards the chest, giving them a little hug. Taking the arms out to your sides in a T, with the palms facing up or facing down, whichever feels more comfortable to you in this moment. Press the feet into the wall, shift the hips just an inch or two over to the left. Then begin to heel toe the feet over to the right, walking down the wall, down the baseboard. And take the knees over to the right, keeping the feet in contact with the baseboard. And you might, especially if the left hip is tight, you might want to grab that block or your blanket and place it between the two knees. Gives you a little bit of support, extra support. Left shoulder blade remaining on the floor. The gaze is either up towards the ceiling or over the left shoulder. And where can you let go? Where can you surrender a little more? Is there a part of your body that's engaging Working hard on this twist that doesn't need to be doing so. Again, soften the throat, the jaw, the skin of the face. Feel free to let out a little bit of sound on the exhale, a sigh, a vocalization. Let go, let go. If you haven't already come out of this, you might start to come out. If you're having a great time, feel free to stay. I'm going to walk my legs up the wall to center. And when you get back to center, once again, press into the feet, shift the hips over to the right just an inch or two, then continue to walk the feet down the left side of the wall. Ground through that right shoulder blade until your feet come down towards the floor. Once again, you can take your block or your blanket with you, place it between the knees, the shins, the lower legs. A very nice prop to employ here, really offering some support in this inquiry of loosening up the doing, encouraging being, resting in being. Notice how it's different on this side. Chesed shebehod, just resting in presence, in splendor. I love the idea of Hod as the priest, as Aaron. Resting in our priestly wisdom. In the knowing that arises from stillness. The gaze is up towards the ceiling or over the right shoulder. Or perhaps even moving your head back and forth a little bit between center and gazing over the right shoulder. And as you're ready, preparing to exit this pose by rolling onto one side and slowly making your way up to seated. We're going to come to a child pose or a puppy pose. So either from all fours, walking the hands forward, taking them maybe into a nice wide V and lengthening the spine, forehead towards the floor, or resting onto a block or on your blanket. Or bringing the buttocks all the way back towards the heels. And then from this place, walking the arms forward long and resting the forehead again on the blanket or a block. Is a nice option. Finding a restful, surrendered puppy or child. Take a few deep breaths through the nose. Notice what you feel in the back of the ribs, in the back body. In that space that I mentioned before, the lower rib band. It's right at the base of the ribs. What does it feel like to fill that space with breath? And then as you're ready, slowly coming out by walking your hands back toward your feet. I'm going to set up for final relaxation with the chair. The lower legs will be placed on the chair. You might like to bring the blanket under your forehead or under your back of your head, or to cover yourself with the blanket. Back of the calves, lower legs resting on the chair. Draw yourself a little bit away from the chair so you have kind of a diagonal there on the thighs. Lower back nice and wide, and coming back. The skull can just rest on the blanket. You might like to take a little bit of a roll up of the blanket to rest under the cervical spine to support the curve of the cervical spine of the neck, so that your neck can just hang over this blanket. You can pull the skull away, make some space. Notice what that does for the jaw. Turn the palms up. Nice expanse across the shoulder, the collarbones, the fronts of the shoulders, the upper chest. Remove your glasses if you're wearing glasses. If it feels safe and comfortable, you can allow the eyes to close. Once again, let the throat soften and rest back toward the spine. Let the whole front body rest and surrender back down to the back body. Let the shoulders surrender and the hips. Let all the abdominal organs surrender. Rest toward the back body. Just accepting this moment as it is, as you are right now. Beginning to deepen the breath, bringing awareness back towards the surface. Bring the knees toward the chest, give them a hug. Extend your arms overhead if you're able. Begin to roll over toward your right side, using your right upper arm as a pillow for your head. Pause and breathe in this fetal position. Place your left hand on the floor in front of you. Inhale here, and as you exhale, press into the left hand and then the right to bring your torso upright. Come to a comfortable seat on the blanket or block or on your chair. With the spine tall. Sitting bones wide, grounded. Crown of the head reaching up. And one last time, bring the attention to the throat. Soften the throat. Soften the tongue. Soften the jaw hinges. Bring your dominant hand to your heart space. Palm against your chest. Then take your other hand, place it on top of your dominant hand. Feel the heat of the hands move into the body. Feel the heartbeat or the rise and fall of the chest against the hands. Grateful for, present to, surrendered to this moment, just as it is showing up. Hod. We can simply say, thank you, Toda Rabah, thank you for this moment, this being, this body, this life. Allow the hands to release. Allow the eyes to flutter open. Shavua Tov, thank you for practicing. The moon is full, so get a look at that tonight. Maybe you did last night, a few days of glorious moon. I want to also remind you to check out Rabbi Miriam Klotz's beautiful piece on Hod in the IJS weekly email. It's great. And once again, we're on YouTube. Subscribe, like us. Please check out our podcast, specifically mine that dropped today. I'm excited. Check that out. And Rabbi Nancy Flam and Dr. Michael Fishbane in conversation May 12th. The quote from Rabbi Art Green is in the chat. Thank you, Adi, for beautiful tech support today and always.